Okay, so I don't know about anybody else, but I do find it ironic that Taco Tuesday decided to taco on Tuesday. And for anyone who doesn't know why I call him Taco Tuesday, because I think it was last year, someone made up the saying, Trump always chickens out, which is basically taco. And late yesterday, Taco Tuesday decided to pause the 50% tariffs that are being threatened to Canada. Now, I kind of called this a while ago when it was announced. I said, it's going to go down to the wire and Trump's going to taco, which he did. Now, it's only a 3-day delay, but my guess is that he's going to make some big announcement saying that Canada has finally come to its senses and they're going to be giving us this and that. And when you look at it, it might not actually be that bad. But we're going to talk about this a little bit today, and CTV has a report on it. But I'm not really going to talk about the tariffs. I'm going to talk about how much damage this stunt is actually causing. Also, for the Canadians, do you see anything wrong with this tag? Well, there's no country on it. So how are you supposed to know where it came from? I guess you can only look at the label that's on the actual product. But this is becoming a problem in a lot of grocery stores in Canada, and I want to talk about it. Also, yesterday I talked about Bellingham, and I kind of want to continue on this, because I got some new data from the Bellingham Chamber of Commerce, and I want to thank Mr. Chow for sending this on the Discord server. But it shows the sentiment when it comes to business owners and what they feel about Canadians not coming to their county anymore. They might be begging us now, but they weren't begging us in 2012. Because one of our viewers named Van Ree tagged me on Blue Sky with this old article from 2012. And it's titled, Americans Fed Up with Canadians Taking Over Local Costco. Well, they're not fed up now. They're basically begging us to come back. If you watched my video yesterday, I told the story about how I went to Costco in about 2011, 2012, right around this time this article was posted. And I mentioned that somebody left a note on my car saying, go back to fucking Canada. So we're going to take a little trip back in time, and I'm going to read this article out for everyone later. And my daily shout out to everybody that's supporting my Substack page as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page. I do read everybody's comments, but unfortunately I just don't have time to respond to all of them. I'm going to try to see if I have time on my flight over to Vancouver. But I was talking to Prof K, who's my Discord moderator and who has become a good friend of mine. And I told him I still feel bad asking people for help. But he helped me to realize that I'm not just venting with my videos. I'm making sure that everybody feels like they're part of a community and that they're not alone. Because a lot of our inner circles, they're not as in tune as we are when it comes to this stuff. So I really do want to thank everybody who has supported the channel. And I'm definitely going to keep going. Prof K actually provided today's backdrop, so I'll talk about this more later. Alright, let's get into the first video of Taco Tuesday tacoing on Tuesday.
Let's bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapillos. Vashi, these U.S. tariffs would have been on about $30 billion Canadian worth of goods. And as Mike just mentioned, everybody's going to be wondering what the Canadian concessions are. But what are you hearing tonight about the reaction to Trump's post?
So the majority of the information I'm getting at this hour is from the American side. In fact, there's not a lot coming from the Canadian side in the way of official confirmation, but it does sound from the Americans whom I've spoken with, at least two sources who are close to the negotiations, that exactly what Mike laid out, that the USTR talked about, this idea that, we will roll back counter tariffs on autos, for example, that we'll make adjustments to dairy quotas, and that alcohol will get back on the shelves.
Now, one thing I find interesting is that all of our information is coming from the US side, nothing from Canada's side. And I actually think that's a good thing. It's like playing poker. You don't reveal your cards or you don't flinch. And the most annoying and obnoxious person at the table is usually the one that's bluffing. Now, everything she's talking about is coming from the US side, which we all know, we can't believe it. It's like the Strait of Hormuz. Whenever Taco Tuesday says that he controls the strait, I wait for the Iranian side to speak up.
Are things that have at least tentatively been agreed to. The key question is, and you've pointed out, Omar, what does finalization entail? And at least three or four premier staffers who I'm in touch with say there's no information at this hour yet communicated from the federal government to those premiers. I imagine that will take up some space tomorrow.
And Vashi, walk us through the second part of Trump's post tonight. He does reference his predecessor, and there's a specific reference to Keystone XL.
Yeah, this is a bit of a head scratcher, Omar, because actually the main thing that Trump talks about in his initial post is Keystone XL and that it will be revived. But, to be honest, we already knew that at the end of April, he greenlit a South Bow, construction of a pipeline through from the Canadian side to Wyoming. There's just some details to be worked out. It's kind of basically along the Keystone XL pipeline. So whether it's something in addition to that has yet to be clarified by anyone on either side of the border. But certainly we do know that the Americans want preferential access to our oil. The question is, what do we give them?
So he's basically tweeting about something that was already agreed to in April. I don't understand it. I mean, I don't think anybody right now knows what's going on, including the United States side. But like I said, I'm not going to talk about the actual tariffs and the details. I'm talking about how much damage like this latest stunt is causing. We already know that Canadians are pissed off and they want Pete Hoekstra out. And the petition right now is at 235,646 at the time I'm editing this video. If you haven't signed it yet, the link to the description... No, that's not right. If you haven't signed it yet, the link to the petition will be in the description below. But beside the Hoekstra petition, Canadians are clearly showing that they're pissed off. And I think it was reported that only 20% of Canadians are okay with giving up some concessions. And it was also reported that Janice Charest mentioned to the US side that she can't control what 40 million Canadians do. I think it was her, or somebody did. But my point is that this latest stunt has pissed off a lot of Canadians that may have just been, a little nonchalant about things, because now it's going to affect them. And I have seen some reports that this might actually strengthen the Buy Canadian movement. So I guess we'll have to see what happens in the next 3 days. Now, speaking of the Buy Canadian movement, grocery stores across Canada are making it a lot harder for us to be able to choose Canadian. This one's in downtown Vancouver on Davie Street. Maybe I'll stop by there when I get back. But they basically removed all of the product locations and where the product's from, and they gave some lame excuse. Let me show everybody.
This Loblaw-owned grocery store in downtown Vancouver has a large sign proudly touting thousands of Canadian products. But in the produce aisle, finding out where fruits and vegetables come from isn't always so easy. Display signage offering few details. For many items, the only clue to where they came from was the small sticker attached to the produce.
Now, this is some slimeball tactic. Because now it's up to the consumer to bring their glasses or a microscope and actually find out where the product is from. And I'm guessing Loblaw is banking on the consumer that's just too busy to be able to check the labels, and they're just going to grab it and go. I'm actually really curious to see if there is any produce with no labels and no country of origin. Yeah, I think I'm going to check it out when I get back.
I personally don't understand why they would even want to do that, because it could cause people to not want to shop there.
Loblaw confirmed to CTV News it has changed how country of origin information is displayed in its fresh produce aisles, telling CTV News, because produce sourcing can change frequently due to seasonality, supplier changes, and availability, we now direct customers to the most current supplier-provided country of origin information available on product labels, stickers, packaging, or accompanying case labels.
Yeah, that's a pretty lame excuse if you ask me. I mean, how hard is it to print out, product of USA on the fucking label? And if they're worried about, too much printing costs, then print it on the other side. This is something I wish our federal government would make mandatory. I believe Australia has really strict rules, and they have to show where the product is from. I mean, how awesome would this be if we had this in Canada?
Just a few blocks away at this Safeway, a different approach. Buy BC, Buy Canadian, and country of origin signage is easy to spot throughout the produce aisle. Customers we spoke with say as tensions increase between Canada and the US, they're paying closer attention to where their food comes from.
This is exactly what I talked about earlier when I said the Buy Canadian movement might actually strengthen with this last stunt from Taco Tuesday. It's just pissing people off.
It's important to me now because of all these tariffs he's planning to put on us.
It's very important for me and for all the people because you should buy products that are locally produced.
I like to support Canadian as much as I can under the current situation with the tariffs and so on and so forth.
And with Trump threatening tariffs that could impact Canadian food producers, one researcher believes the Buy Canadian movement may gain even more momentum.
That would give consumers pause and a strong reason to support Canadian companies as of tomorrow, even more so than ever before.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency tells CTV News there is no federal requirement for grocery stores to identify a product's country of origin on shelf tags or other store signage.
Now, that needs to change. I mean, we need to have a system like what Australia does. I mean, we had that. None of this would be a problem right now. The grocery stores wouldn't be able to pull a fast one on the consumers, and Canadians could be confident that they're buying from a country that they want. But I don't know how to fix this. I mean, I'm just a tech dude. But one thing I do know is how to contact Loblaws. And I got their email, I got their phone number, address, and I'm going to post all of this in the comments below in case anybody wants to complain. I know the GTL community is very active when it comes to like reaching out to people. I mean, like if I use that senator from Maine as an example, I think there were at least 500 people that actually emailed very angry emails to him. So if you're angry at Loblaws, here's the contact information. Now, continuing on from my rant yesterday on Bellingham, and if you want to read my article, it's a personal one, so if you're interested in reading it, check out my Substack page. But I have some new information here, and I want to thank Mr. Chow for posting this in my Discord server, and I'm going to read it out for everybody. It's a PDF document from the Bellingham Chamber of Commerce, and it's titled, Declining Canadian Visitors, Business Impacts. Which sectors are most affected by fewer Canadians? And I'll go through each box. The first one is the food and beverage. 91% of the businesses say that the decline is damaging to them. Concerned about their survival? 64%. Going to the retail box. 85% say declining Canadians is damaging to their business, and 60% are concerned about their survival. Going to the other/community services box, 70% say declining is damaging, 40% concerned about their survival. And the last box, tourism/visitor services, 67% say it's damaging that Canadians are not coming down, and 43% are saying that they're concerned about their survival. Now, it's clear to me that this is a county or a city that is very concerned about their survival. And it's also apparent that the Canadians, we really supported them. I mean, 91% of food and beverage say the decline is damaging, and 64% say that they're worried about staying alive. Yeah, I had to throw that in there. My dad would like that one. But this next screenshot here, the bottom right, are business changes temporary or lasting? I've done many reports in Bellingham where the local businesses, they realized, yes, the Canadians are not coming back, we have to readjust and retool our business. Some are actually going down the route of like asking for GoFundMe donations just to stay alive. But the fact that this pie chart shows that 73% of Bellingham businesses realize that this is a long-term/permanent change makes me realize that some of these businesses are thinking, uh-oh, the Canadians, they really are serious, and they're not coming back. Now, it's hard for me to feel sorry for any of these businesses, and yeah, it hurts me to say that. I really did enjoy going to Bellingham. But I want to remind everybody what the sentiment was when Canadians were going to their city in 2012, feeding their economy. Because we're going to take a look back at an article in 2012, and this was sent to me by Van Ree on Blue Sky. And I'm going to read this whole article out for everybody, and you listen to the anger that came from Bellingham. Americans fed up with Canadians taking over local Costco. Residents of Bellingham, Washington, are fed up with Canadian shoppers who cross the border and buy up goods at the local Costco. Canadian residents are driving less than 30 miles to the US border and taking full advantage of the favorable exchange rate when buying food, gas, and other items. Right now, Canada's dollar is much stronger than the US. Gas is more than $1 less than the US, and milk is nearly $5 a gallon less. Many British Columbia license plates have been popping up the Costco lot, preventing locals from finding spots, according to many Bellingham residents. Videos have been posted on YouTube, showing long lines at checkout and a mad dash for cheap American milk in the store. Things have gotten so bad that local residents say they have started a Facebook page with the pleading title, Bellingham Costco needs a special time just for Americans. It's like the border dropped 25 miles. Americans should be able to find a parking in their own country, reads one post. Let me remind everybody that this is right about the time when I got a note left on my car saying go back to fucking Canada. As of Tuesday morning, the Facebook page has more than 2,900 likes and tons of debates between Americans and Canadians. It's like going through Disneyland when you come to Costco here, one woman said. A senior vice president at Costco told CBC News that anyone with a Costco membership can shop at any store in the world. As long as the exchange rate stays in favor of the neighbors to the north, the residents of Bellingham, Washington, can expect more of the same. Now, to that woman complaining about parking spots, I don't think you have to worry about that anymore. And to the Facebook page saying that you need like American times at Costco, I also don't think you need that anymore as well. I actually wonder if that woman left a note on my car. But as you can tell, the Bellingham residents, they didn't like Canadians being in their country. And it's a stark contrast from the comments I'm going to read you right now, from present day. And this is from the PDF document from the Bellingham Chamber of Commerce. There are many things negatively affecting my business, supply chain, changing local requirements, local economic hardship. The Canadian tourism decrease has been one of the most quantifiable and impactful issues for my business, but it's also the hardest not to be angry about. And the next one of the biggest challenges we face is how heavily our business has relied on cross-border traffic. While it has always been an important part of our customer base, the recent decline has showed how vulnerable that reliance can be. We really depend on our neighbors to the north for our survival. And the last one, due to much lower sales, I've had to lessen offerings in order to balance supply and waste. Seems much different than the comments that we were getting in 2012, doesn't it? One thing the Bellingham residents didn't realize back then in 2012 is that we just didn't go to Costco. And for the record, I never bought milk there. I actually kind of steered away from dairy. For me, it was more about the frozen foods. But regardless of that, we would make trips to Costco. But Costco wouldn't be the only stop. Because after that, normally we would go to Trader Joe's, maybe Fred Meyer, then Bellis Fair, shop around in there. Then we go to like maybe Olive Garden because we don't have it in Canada. Then after that, we'd probably walk around the Fairhaven area and then head back to Canada. I know I wasn't the only Canadian doing this. I would literally run into friends, family, and relatives and coworkers. But the key thing is, all of us, we were spending money. At Trader Joe's, at Fred Meyer's, Bellis Fair, Olive Garden, and the boutique shops in Fairhaven. I literally do not know anybody crossing the border just to do weekend shopping anymore. Everyone that I used to know that used to go do not go anymore. I mean, some are for the boycott reasons. Some, they just don't want to deal with CBP. So when I see this article from 2012, it brings back a lot of memories for me. Not about actually going to Costco, but about what I did after Costco, where I went, how much money I spent, buying ice cream at like random places. And I actually started thinking to myself, do these shops that we're shopping at, do they care that we're actually Canadian, that we're contributing to their economy? And I look back at it and I look at all the interactions that I had in the past. And I do remember times where I would get snarky comments like, you guys got nothing better to do in Canada than to come to Bellingham? All at the same time as swiping my credit card. So to all the businesses in Bellingham that say like 64% are concerned about their survival, you had the golden goose that was funding your cash register. And unfortunately, your country decided to vote in a manner that killed your own industry, not us. And I say your own country because I know there's going to be some business owners in the 64% that are struggling to survive that did not vote for this. But the anger should not be at Canadians. It should be at your fellow citizens that voted and ticked the box beside Taco Tuesday's name. I feel like a broken record always saying this, but I have to say it. So to the Bellingham businesses who are redirecting their long-term and permanent changes, you better continue doing that because the Canadians, they're not going to come back anytime soon. So good luck with that. Closing out this video, I would like to thank Prof. Chris from our Discord server and also my Discord moderator for sending me this photo from Hong Kong. Chris and I did an interview video a while ago. I think it was last year, somewhere around there. And he's become a great friend of the channel, but also to me as well. We're both from Vancouver, and we're both living overseas. And we're both around the same age, so I'm pretty much guaranteeing that there's going to be at least maybe 1 or 2 degrees separation, because Vancouver's so small. I mean, everyone kind of knows everybody. But I want to thank you for posting up this photo on the Discord server, as well as all of the advice that you're giving. And one day we will meet up for a beer sometime. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. I hope you got some value out of it, and if you did get any value out of it, consider checking out my Substack page as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.